glad you're here. Please, come in and have a seat. Let's see where the conversation takes us. So, once upon a very long time ago, I had a friend that I was close with in that season of my life. And I really wanted to do something special for her. I wanted to celebrate everything she had done to step up and help me. And I wanted to show her how much I appreciated her. So I planned a surprise party for her. Bunch of mutuals, told her a lie to get her to come over. She walked in the door. Everybody yelled surprise, jumped up at her. She burst into tears and bolted. I was horrified. So, turns out she'd had some childhood traumas around a couple of them that kind of stacked in unpredictable and unexpected ways. She'd had her birthday was used as a weapon against her in her childhood, and she'd had a couple of really, really unpleasant surprises in her life, and so in general wasn't a fan of surprises. And while we had gotten really close really fast, we hadn't gotten deep enough yet that I knew those stories of hers. So I was unaware of these triggers that she had, which was really unfortunate because it ended up having the exact opposite impact. Instead of making my friend feel seen and appreciated and loved, instead she felt ambushed and triggered and vulnerable. And honestly, it had a long-term impact on the friendship, and it sort of just, her trust and comfort with me had been broken. And she, to her credit and her benefit, she really tried to work through it and not hold it against me. But she just never, every time I would give her an invite to come do something, there was now a direct line to a trigger for her. So she didn't trust that it would not be something more than what I said it was. Was it? And so this really was a struggle for me to process this, because in my mind, I was just trying to do something nice. And I would love that kind of surprise. I would love for somebody to put something together for me. And so my intention was good, right? My intention was honorable. It was founded in love and friendship, but my impact was destructive. My impact caused harm. So, am I a bad person because of that? No, I'm not a bad person, but it did trigger a change in me, right? That situation, because now I really had to recognize that before you throw somebody a surprise party, you should find out if they even appreciate surprises, because not everybody does. Some people have had unpleasant surprises that ruin the surprise experience. Some people have control issues where surprises are uncomfortable because they weren't able to plan for it. They weren't able to be prepared for it. You know, some life will throw some surprises at us that we can't get away from. But if we know that the person we care about doesn't enjoy a surprise, then even though we enjoy giving the surprise, is our joy more important than their discomfort? So this story kind of brings us around to what I want to talk about today, which is impact versus intention, and just how responsible should we be when our intention doesn't align with the impact. As always, we need to start by understanding what we're talking about. So when I say intention and impact, what do I mean? Well, intention is the motivation or the purpose behind your action. It's what we plan to do. It's the source with which that intention derives. You know, is the intention a positive intention? Is it a good intention? Is it a beneficial intention? Impact, on the other hand, is how others actually experience or feel the result of our action. For example, you may intend to help, but if your action causes confusion, the impact is chaos. Right? Have you ever seen somebody struggling to carry things and you go to help them, and the thing that you take off of them throws them out of balance and causes them to drop everything? I've done that. I've been on both sides of it, trying to help the person and causing the collapse, and being the person carrying too much and then having the unintended person help in a way that wasn't helpful. And well, I'm branching into another thought here, that sometimes we can also weaponize our impact, right? That we can do what we wanted to do, even though we know the other person isn't going to appreciate the outcome. And then we just claim we did it because we intended for it to be for their benefit. You know, kind of like buying your significant other a gift that you intend to be helpful, but really hurts their feelings. You know, like buying a gym membership for your spouse when you guys haven't talked about them wanting a gym membership, but because you think that they've gained a little weight and could use to be more active, right? So your intention was to help them be more healthy. Your impact is to make them feel unappreciated, unloved because of their physical appearance. You can't just sit back and go, well, my intention was good, and not take any responsibility or ownership on how the other person receives it. I mean, and let's be clear about this. Both matter, right? Your intentions count. They do matter in why you make the decisions that you make. But if your intention is good and your outcome is destructive, it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't make it okay for you to have caused harm. And just to go, well, it's not what I intended, but it's what happened. So what are you going to do with that? If we're mature, we care about our relationships, we value the people around us, then we're going to take ownership of the outcome. Not just tout our intention, but actually sit in what happened. All right. We can't stop at just good intentions. Even if we mean well, we have to have a responsibility to observe how people respond to us. For instance, a teacher may intend fairness, but if the student still isn't getting their needs met in the classroom, it may not be having the needed outcome. Right? For instance, if a teacher has a nonverbal student in their classroom and then you put rewards on the other side of a verbal requirement, your intention may be to encourage participation from every student, but your outcome is going to prohibit somebody from being able to engage because of that aspect of them, right? That nonverbal presentation. So you could allow them to put it in writing or allow them to participate in another way, as opposed to making a verbal response be the only gate to that reward. Right? You know, there are so many times in our lives where our actions can result in outcomes that were unexpected, right? And it gets real easy to sit in our moral high ground of going, well, that's not what I meant to happen. My intention was for this, or my intention was for that. Well, you know, your intention may be to bring the car to a full stop, but if you don't step on the brake fully and your car hits the vehicle in front of you, even though you intended to stop, your failure to completely stop still resulted in an accident at which you're at fault. Right? So, intention versus outcome. Here is where personal responsibility is paramount. You can't just say, well, I meant well. You really need to stop and think about who was affected by my actions or my choices and how were they affected. Okay. So at one point I was put in charge of a project at work. And it was the first time I had been asked to lead a project. I was very nervous about the project succeeding and everybody getting their parts in. So I did the very thing that I despise in leadership. And I started checking in multiple times a day, offering suggestions on how people should complete the work that was assigned to them, requiring detailed updates in unrealistic intervals. I turned into a nightmare of a micromanager. I know. Okay? It was a learning experience. I had never been trusted in that kind of a position before, and I had a lot of imposter syndrome, and for some bizarre reason, I thought the very thing that I hated in other leaders, I'd be able to pull off with finesse. I was wrong. For those of you, if you're listening now and were traumatized by that experience, you guys know who you are, I apologize. I'm sorry. I have learned and I do better now. The impact of that was I created a very negative work environment for my team. And luckily, I had a strong enough team that they called me on what was happening. They held me accountable for my behavior and advised me that if I didn't stop, that they weren't going to get anything done. And so I checked myself. I pulled back. I reestablished a weekly update instead of the multiple times a day update. We scaled back the amount of detail necessary in the reports to show their progress. In other words, I stopped being an ass. Okay. I had to take ownership of what I was doing wrong to make it right. Okay. I had to recognize that even though my intention was to make sure that the project stayed on track and the team looked great, the outcome was that I made people frustrated and anxious, and I was creating an environment that didn't support my overall goals. So I had to adjust, right? It's all about personal accountability. We need to make sure that well-meaning decisions aren't causing undue stress. We need to apologize and change course if we recognize that we're doing something that doesn't work, that isn't having the outcomes that we want. And guys, this isn't just about workplace relationships, right? This happens in our homes too. I got some new glasses. What do you guys think? Cute? You like them? This is one of those intent versus impact situations. I went shopping for new glasses, sent some pictures to my husband. He decided he didn't like any of my choices, told me that he wanted to order other glasses for me and started sending frames that he liked. And oh, I love my husband. My husband has exceptional taste, oftentimes well outside of our tax bracket. He was sending me frames at fantastical prices. $300, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800, $900, $1,200 for one set of frames that he sent me. See, and what you have to understand about me is even if I had $10 million sitting in the bank, I wouldn't spend $1,200 on a single pair of frames. It's just not how I'm built. And listen, no judgment on how other people prioritize their spending. I spent so many years so desperately broke that type of indulgence just doesn't resonate with me. I would rather reserve those monies for something else. I am the daughter of a bargain shopper, the granddaughter of a discount diva, okay? It was all about how good of a deal can you get, how cheap can you get it. So my mind doesn't naturally flip to the other, right? So what does this have to do with intention and impact? Well, my husband's intention is to make me shine. His intention is to give me the best of everything. His impact was that he made me feel like my choices aren't good enough and that my preferences don't matter. And trust me, we had a long conversation about it. We're good. We've reset our expectations on this. And this is one of those things that resurfaces regularly because he grew up under different financial circumstances than I did, right? He didn't have the same financial struggles. Digging for change in your sofa to be able to buy formula and diapers. That's not something he experienced. I have. So we come at finances, at money from very different perspectives. He comes from an abundance mindset. I come from a minimalist mindset and stretch and save and make it. So this is one of those areas where we often clash, right? And his intention versus how it impacts me and triggers some of my things is something that we have to continually talk through and work through. And he's right. His desire to provide me the best in life isn't bad or wrong. Sometimes how he delivers his opinion could maybe use a little polishing, but his intention is good. But he also is learning how to be aware of how his intention can be received and how that impacts me. And we're working on that, right? But it's the accountability of it, right? It's recognizing when the impact isn't what you desired and being able to step back and to say, I'm sorry, baby, that's not what I meant. Yeah. I did remind him he needs to be awfully careful about criticizing my choices because he's one of them. You know, my taste can't be all that bad. So here we are. Um, oh, accountability it's about listening. It is about acknowledging. It's about adjusting course as needed, right? It's about taking some time to sit in it, to reflect on how things went, how you received them, how when your plan began, when your decision making started, what was the initial intention? And then did the plan follow the intention and just have an unfortunate impact? Or did the plan deviate from the intention and that's why the impact wasn't what was desired, right? And how can we adjust for the next time so that we can be more aware, more intentional with our intention? Can we get more intentional with our intention? Can we provide our intention the guidance and the structure that it needs to provide a preferable or a intended result? Right? I know I'm running with this. I can't help myself. I'm just digging deeper and deeper with these intention references. But here's where we are. All right. We need to make sure that we are being accountable. We need to make sure that we are reflecting. We need to make sure that we are taking ownership and responsibility, not just for how the journey began, but where the journey ended. All right. There's a lot of detours we can take on a journey. Was it the detour that derailed the intention and altered the impact? Or was it a poor plan to begin with? Was it just a bad decision that we maybe didn't think through how it was going to impact others? And see, there's another time. Did we just make a decision with no intention? Sometimes. Okay. So, did you have an intention? Or did you just do a thing and then weren't prepared for how others would react or respond to it, or how would it impact and affect others? All right. We typically walk through the world, the star of our own story, right? We're the first person character in our own narrative. And sometimes we don't think about how what we do affects those around us, those we work with, those we live with, those we collaborate with. And having a awareness of our impact is important. I mean, yes, in the grand emotional schemes, but sometimes just in your physical presence. I experienced this when going to the grocery store. One of the reasons I went to grocery delivery, honest with you, is because people walk through the world unaware of the space that they take up and how that impacts people around them. It's the person who will stop with their cart in the middle of the aisle sitting crossways so they block people moving around them, right? The ones who will just, this is one of my personal favorites. If you do this, stop it. They walk 2 steps through the door and then stop to assess where they need to go, knowing full well there are people walking in directly behind them. And so you go walking in behind them, they stop, and all of a sudden you're almost hitting them because they stopped short at an unexpected point. Couple steps forward, a step to the left, a step to the right, out of the main entryway. Clear the entrance, for the love of God, before you stop and pull out your list or adjust whatever you need to adjust or dig for whatever you're digging for. We don't think about how our action, our decision, our presence, our physicality impacts the world around us. You see it in parking lots, you see it in grocery stores, you see it in traffic, where people will just make a decision and move their vehicle without first assuring that the way is clear. Right? Part of managing our impact on the world around us is being aware of it. If we are not paying attention to how we affect the people around us and the space around us, we are moving irresponsibly in the world. We have a responsibility, a personal responsibility that nobody else can hold you accountable to than yourself, on how what we choose and what we do affects the people we love, affects the people we work with. You know, whether it's something as simple as, okay, here's a common one. You leave work, you're getting ready to head home. You decide on your way to work you need to run an errand. No big deal, right? Except if you have somebody at home waiting, thinking that you're coming straight home, and they've got dinner cooked and ready. And so you stop and run your errand, and that errand, you know, instead of taking 10 minutes, it ended up taking 30 minutes. And then because that took so long, you decided you needed to stop and do something else. And now you're walking in the door hour and a half late. And the dinner that was going to be ready when you got home is now cold. Your intention wasn't to disrespect somebody else's efforts, but your outcomes certainly did. When a simple text message or a call saying, I'm going to run an errand, I'm going to be home a little late, could have prevented that. And why do I bring this up? Because it just happened to me last week. I had dinner all prepared for my husband. I know that when he gets off at 5 o'clock, by 5:20, he's walking in the door. I had dinner ready to go at 5:20. He was going to walk into the smell of, dinner laid out on the table ready for him. And then he's 15 minutes late. He's half an hour late. And I don't know about other people's husbands, but my husband can't keep his phone charged. It is forever dying on him. His phone died, so I couldn't call him, couldn't text him. Okay, well, great. Now I'm worried. Now I'm wondering, and now my dinner's cold. So when he finally walked in the door, just happy as a clam because he'd gotten all of his errands run, he walked into simmering upset. Oh, well, at least now I know you're safe. What happened? He goes, oh, I just decided to run some errands. I'm like, you couldn't shoot me a text? You couldn't say anything? Oh, Now, here's where my husband does really good. He felt really bad about it. He was really sorry. He apologized sincerely, and he's working on it. He's trying not to, he's trying to let me know if he's going to be working late or if he's got an errand to run. Not because I'm controlling where he goes. I don't care what he does. If you need to do something, great. Just let me know, because I work from home. And if I can have your dinner ready for you, because I know you worked hard and you're going to come home tired, I want to have it ready for you. It's courtesy, it's respect, it's being aware of the impact of your choices, right? And being intentional with how you address those results. It is important that we remember our personal growth. It's not a destination, folks. We're on a journey. We're on a journey to be a little bit better every day. And it's not a linear journey. You're going to have some double backs, okay? Because we are so completely human that, sometimes all of our best intentions still result in poor decisions. Some of our best intentions may still result in unanticipated, undesired, and unhappy impacts. Where we grow, where we continue our journey of improvement, is owning those, is saying, that is not what I meant to happen, but I recognize it is what happened because of my choice, because of my decision, because of my action. And here's what I'm going to do to, number one, correct it, right? If I've caused harm, I need to correct it. Okay? If I've put a policy in place that is making things difficult for others, then it's time to alter the policy. If I have put a practice in place that is causing harm, then it's time to change that practice. If I have put up a boundary that is imposing on somebody else's peace, I need to take a look at that. Because boundaries are supposed to be for me. A boundary isn't meant to change somebody else's behavior. It changes what you and will not involve yourself in or participate in, right? If your boundary requires somebody else to change their behavior, well, we're not really understanding what boundaries are, okay? The more we become accountable for the outcomes, for the impacts, for the damage we do, the more we will grow as a compassionate member of our society, as a compassionate individual human being. And the better we make ourselves, the better our relationships are, the better our community is. And Lord knows, we need some community building, right? We need... There's a lot going on in the world, folks. It's wild times. It's wild times out there. We need to have grace for each other in our relationships, but we also need to have personal accountability. It's real easy to sit on the sidelines and point at other people and tell them what they should do better. It is much more impactful in the long term if we can sit in that same space and keep those judgmental eyes cast on ourselves and hold ourselves accountable for better behavior. Hold ourselves accountable for our choices, for our impacts, for how our decisions affect those around us. It's not a terribly long conversation today, but I really believe that this is one that we needed to have. So often we want to sit back and rest on our intentions and not really own our impacts. And this, listen, I I cast nothing out to you guys that I am not working on myself. Okay? I'm not by any stretch of the imagination stating that I get this right all the time. I have a chronic issue with the calendar. Okay? My intention is to show up for everybody I care about. And my inability to master calendar management and understand the concept of dates makes it so I am frequently having a negative impact on people around me because I say I'm going to show up and then I double book or triple book myself and then I have to break my promise to somebody. Pardon me. So it's one of those things that I continually struggle with, and I try to keep myself accountable to putting things on my calendar and my phone. I try to keep myself accountable to not saying yes before I double check my availability, and I still fail because my intention is to be there for everybody, to get all of the experiences and show up. And sometimes that is just not my impact. And it's okay. It's okay that we still struggle. It's okay that we don't get it right every time. What's not okay is to think, well, that's just the way it is. What is important is that we make the self-reflection a ongoing practice, that we hold our accountability as a daily commitment to ourselves. Accountability isn't for other people. Accountability is so that you can make yourself the best you can be. For you. Because you deserve to be your best. But nobody can get you there but you. You have to put the work into yourself. You have to make the investment of time and effort into yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. You're the only one who can make you a better you. Thank you for joining me in today's conversation, guys. And stop. Thank you so much for stopping by today. Don't forget to hit subscribe to get all the latest episodes and find me on social media at Angela's Living Room on all platforms. Have a fantastic day.